guys hear me?
Oh, yeah.
And even if it's easy to be free, what's your definition of freedom? And who the fuck are you?
And it's a Hard Rock Life.
Yeah.
Welcome.
We're here with Andrew for America from Punk Rock and Politics.
Woo!
How's it
What's
going?
going on, guys?
Oh, this is what's going on, man. I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, great to talk to you guys finally. We've been chatting a little bit via email, and here we are.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. So like you really started like podcasting not that long ago, right?
Yeah, I started in January 2021, so about a year and a half in now.
No shit. You wouldn't know
Mhm.
it, dude. I would think that you had been doing this for years.
Oh, thanks, guys. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's going well. I've learned a lot since I started. If you listen back to some of my earlier first episodes before I added like all the fun effects and the show parts, you can kind of see me build the show as you listen to the episodes from one till whatever I'm at now, 110 or whatever. And I like listening back sometimes and just to double check, like, was I a dipshit when what did I say? Like, do I still, are these words and these stories I was telling timeless, or, like, was I an idiot? So that I kind of go back and listen from time to time just to make sure that I still like them and that kind
Yeah.
of thing.
No, that's
But
cool.
it's going well.
So, yeah. What is your experience with that? Like, when you hear your early episodes, do you hear your own progression? Like, you must, I would assume.
Yeah. It's kind of like songs. Like, you remember what you were thinking, where you were when you wrote a song, or you remember a specific moment in time when you hear some specific song. I think when I go back and listen to some of my podcasts, I have the same feeling where I'm like, oh, I remember what I was thinking, where I was going with this. I think I articulated it well, that kind of thing. So I kind of look at podcasting like I look at songwriting. It's kind of like, this piece, like verse, chorus, bridge, outro kind of deal.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it seems like it's working. It's slowly growing, uh, getting better. I my biggest guest yet. I'm going to air that episode. I think not the next one, but the one after that.
We don't
I don't
want to
give
spoil
away.
that surprise.
I don't want to give away who it is, but I just interviewed my biggest guest so far on the show. So, yeah, it's moving in the right direction.
That's amazing.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
So, would you mind explaining your military background?
Not at all. Yeah. So, I was an operations specialist in the Navy for 4 years, from '96 to 2000, and operations specialist is a pretty way of saying I did radar and chart plotting and ran navigation systems, and I was on a amphibious ship, and one of my jobs was to launch the Marine boat raids to the beach. So I basically played war games for 3.5 years after boot camp. I got stationed in San Diego. I did two Western Pacific deployments, one in '97 and one in '99. So I've been all over the world twice. And then I got out in July of 2000. And next year, 9/11
Damn.
happened. So I've been saying this. I always say this. I feel very thankful and blessed that I got out of the military when I did,
Yeah.
because I know a lot of people that went over there, people that I worked with, and it's like I jumped off that ship right before they went into hell, basically. So
I got home from Joint
yeah.
Base Lewis McChord a month before COVID hit. I was like,
Damn.
yeah, man. I joined kind of late in life. I went green.
What service?
I was Army.
Oh, okay.
I was banging on
Yeah,
Apaches.
Oh, okay. Right on.
So there's a running joke.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you as well. There's a running joke with navigation in the military where low officers like LTs and shit don't know their fucking way around land nav. Is that the same in the Navy too?
That what was that? That what?
That the officers, like the LTs, they didn't know shit about land nav. Like they were never taught that for some reason. They just didn't know. Like even like the ones you meet in basic training, it's just like, what are you?
I think the parallel to the Navy would be like ensigns or like
Oh, okay.
um, Lieutenant JG line officer that just got out of college or out of the academy,
Yeah.
and you have senior chiefs in the Navy that have been salty dogs out at sea for 20 years that has to listen to and salute these guys. So yeah, there's a little bit of a difference of respect there, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. The
you
rank
know,
structure is a little different. Definitely.
yeah, yeah, but yeah, there. I mean, I worked in combat, what's called Combat Information Center, and it's basically the brain of the ship that we give all of our information and stuff to the officers on the bridge that are steering the ship and that kind of thing. You've probably seen before, and yeah, there's times where you give a little bit of shit to the new young officers that are just trying to figure it out on the ship. You know what I mean?
Oh, I can totally relate.
Did you get a lot of shit, Brad guy?
No, we gave our green ass LTs a lot of shit though, but they were wicked nice in the end. So it's like they were like
Yeah.
brothers to us. You know what I mean? As is the military usually.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
and when
Absolutely.
you go higher up, that's when things get a little hairier. Like my father was command sergeant major of recruiting in San
Oh
Antonio
wow.
like 11, 12 years ago, something like that. But he dipped out. He said he worst mistake he ever made, but I'm like, no, it's probably the best thing he did.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I'm glad I did it, but if I had to do it all over again, there's no way, man. There's no way.
Yeah, Kevin's brother right here. His brother served for a long time, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, you know,
That's a
if you
whole
want to
other.
talk about it.
Well, yeah. So my brother Chris served as a civil affair officer in Army intelligence, and he took himself out of the game, much like you and I were talking before we were on air. He just saw a lot of weird shit going on. I don't know how much of it I should.
Sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah, and he got really just distressed about it, and I think
Yeah.
one of the things that ended up like really hitting him was the fact like just the people we were giving bags of money to who you're watching TV and you're looking at like the Taliban or Al Qaeda or these people who are enemies, and yet you find out you're giving them fucking bags of money.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It's happening in Ukraine right now.
yeah, yes, yeah,
It always happened. It's
uh,
always happened. It's the military industrial complex.
yeah,
It's
man.
the monopoly on everything that the government has slowly taken over time. And the older you get, the easier it is to see. And I think it's getting easier to see even for these young people. Hopefully, they are seeing the realities of things. And I don't have a lot of faith in that happening as much as it needs to happen. But that's why we're out here podcasting, man. We're trying to fight the good fight. I know a lot of people that are getting into the game right now that are a year or 2 years in. We're hovering around the 100 episode mark. Some are less, some a little bit more, but you can see this big push towards a different type of media because people are sick and tired of the
Yeah,
mainstream media. Everybody knows it's bullshit, and I just made this case the other day that distrust in the mainstream media is now a generational phenomenon. People are passing on that reality to their children. So now it's getting into the critical mass and the social consciousness of more Americans, I think, than ever before. And that's why I think there's a huge future for podcasting because people are fed up that they want their news from someone that's going to vet their sources and do some research and have an interesting way to deliver that information that they can go take it upon themselves to research if they don't believe it. You know, the options are so monopolized. I always make the case that the left wing and the right wing media are both two sides of the same coin, two wings of the same bird.
yep,
You think you're getting a different message if you watch Fox versus MSNBC or CNN, but you're not. What you're getting is the same message.
yeah,
You're getting the same message uh, framed for a target market demographic of person,
absolutely.
and it's mind control, it's propaganda, and that's what's controlling the minds of the average person that doesn't jump into this stuff. It's by design, and people are waking up. So that's why I think people are flocking to podcasts, and that's why I think you guys have a bright future. That's why I think I and many like us have a bright future in this game for sure.
Yeah, yeah, there's something to be said about that, man. Well put, well put. Yeah, it's mind blowing, and
We'll have
you,
more bands on soon, I promise.
yeah, yeah, we have a stage here too for bands to perform live and do
I
it
saw
that
that.
way.
I was gonna ask like what you guys what your plans were for the show.
Yeah, we're super green right now, so we're just trying to get the word out as it is.
Hey,
We got some
hey,
people
that's how
lined
you
up.
do it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Oh yeah, to kind of like double back to the media and just the control they have over everybody, the brainwashing and the mind control, quite literally. You look more into the people who you look at every day, like a Candace Owens, or even like a Neil deGrasse Tyson, and I've been seeing that these people have acting in their background. In fact,
Oh
they
yeah,
were.
I've been talking about that quite a bit lately, actually. Yep.
I picked up on that earlier that you were talking about that too. Yeah, it's kind of mind blowing, and people overlook that. Bill Nye as well. I don't know if you ever heard that, but he used to date my music teacher actually. But
I mean, they were on TV though. I mean, they had to have some acting background to be on TV. You know?
well, it's entertainment. I mean, it's
Speaking of Bill Nye, did you see the meme that circulated for a while? It was a picture of him next to Dolph Lundgren,
What
and
the?
it showed Dolph Lundgren like bachelor's degree in political science, master's degree in
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
chemical biology, and like all these scientific accolades and degrees, and Bill Nye's like got some degree, and I don't remember what it was, but it wasn't really science related, and he's the science guy.
yeah,
Just the
yeah,
irony, you know what I
yeah.
mean?
Totally, totally, man. That's a great example. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's like a traffic jam of words really trying to get out of my mouth because there's so much to be said about all of it. It's just so
Oh,
fucking
it's
it's gross.
Well, like today, the most recent thing was friggin' old man, old man Brandon. He was on TV, he's being like, "The pandemic's over," and then the White House is like, "No, it's not, dude."
yeah.
Like,
Oh my god,
it's a
that fucking
farce.
guy.
It's all theater, man.
It is all
Every
theater, yeah.
It's 100% theater, and this administration is proving it, in my
Mm,
opinion. If you couldn't see it before,
mm.
if you can't see it with Biden, you're just not looking.
Yeah,
It's so
man.
obvious,
And to be honest with you, I saw it with Trump too. And
for
and
sure.
I've been having like this growing fear in me because I don't fucking trust either of them. I don't even trust our own election process. But I've been having this growing fear in me that we are like it's just like a chess move, and for like Trump to come in and look like the savior, you know what I mean? And that guy can't be a fucking savior. Holy shit. Going into like his degrees from Columbia and his Jesuit, his Jesuit university and all the people that
Hmm.
he went to school with that, now he, opposes or whatever. They don't really oppose each other. It's like you said, it was like two wings in the same bird, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I did 3-part series. I think you guys probably saw that on Strategy and Reality, and that's what I kind of talk about is. Is he really the savior of the country? Is he really going to make this big red wave comeback? And the Republicans are going to unanimously re-win the presidency. And if they don't, there's going to be civil war in the streets. I mean, it's just such a perfectly crafted media narrative.
Yeah.
And when you look like you alluded to with the Jesuit background and his connection to Robert Vincent Peale, the Freemason, 33rd degree Freemason.
Yeah.
He was he married Trump at his church that he was a pastor at for 50 years in New York. I mean, the Robert Vincent Peale guy wrote The Power of Positive Thinking. I actually just picked that book up from an antique store the other day. It was awesome. I
Oh
got like an
wow.
old ass copy of it. I can't read it. I can't wait to check that out. But I did some research on that guy, and boy, he's connected to Kissinger and to Nixon. And as soon as I saw all of the usual suspects, I immediately knew. I was like, Trump's in the club. He's in the big
Yeah.
club.
Yeah.
He's facilitating the function of that boisterous, whatever right wing, if you want to call him right wing, charismatic guy. He's been prepped for it his entire life. It's just, it's doesn't take much. You don't have to do a lot of research to see the reality of some of these people that are on the show.
Yeah, and he's tied into all the other war hawks, all the neocons and Zionists, which is,
100%.
dude, it's so weird that you can't even you can't even get into conversations like 9/11. If you start talking about the Israeli involvement, more particular like the Zionist angles, you get shut down. People just you get labeled an anti-Semite right away. It's like an automatic feedback thing. It's like, oh, you said Israel, fucking anti-Semite.
Yep.
It's insane.
Yeah, that's I just dropped so I have that supercut show, Reality Lies, Damn Lies, and Statistics. I just dropped
Part 4.
part 4,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's entitled "We're Fucked,"
Yep.
and it's the most tinfoil hat conspiratorial supercut I have ever assembled. When I listened back to it the first time, I was like, dude, this scares me. Like, I don't even know if I can fucking
Dude,
drop this episode.
because
And
you put Charlie in that mix, man.
yeah, well, and so yeah, but you guys checked it out. Oh, yeah,
Wait.
Charlie's,
No, I did. I don't know if I did.
He had
Charlie,
Charlie Robinson.
Oh,
from Macroaggressions.
okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
sprinkled him throughout the whole thing because he has just been on fire lately, just scaring the shit out of me with a lot of the stuff that a lot of us. I think a lot of us suspect where he's going with things, but he is just fearlessly just dropping it. Like, dude, this is like if you want to know what the worst case scenario of conspiracy theories are, go listen to Charlie Robinson's podcast.
God.
I don't know if there's anybody in the game that is more searing down the conspiratorial rabbit hole. And here's the thing that I realized too is that or that getting back to your point about anti-Semitism, I actually bring that up in that episode. There's this part where I say,
Okay.
a lot of people say you can't criticize the Israeli situation because of
Palestine.
everything you said. And I brought up Janet Osbard's work with the Fall of the Cabal series, and I actually did an episode called "The Past Is Crazy," where I talk about back in history, the Khazar region of what is now modern-day Ukraine, very close to Israel, in that region of the world. We're a pretty bloodthirsty, allegedly Baal and Moloch worshipping satanic group of people that robbed everybody that came through the country, and they were such shitty people in the eyes of Russia that Russia tried to exile them. And Russia said, look, you can't believe in this with these pagan religions that you guys are practicing. You're going to have to choose one of the three Abrahamic religions, and they chose Judaism. So I make the case where I say, look, there are people that identify publicly as Jewish people, and they are not Jewish people. And as soon as you even mention that, boom, anti-Semite roadblock. It doesn't matter what you're saying. There's going to be people where they're like, shut the fuck up. If you're not Jewish, you're just part of the Goyim, you're a Gentile, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Shut up. White supremacist, nationalist, anti-Semite, the venom.
Stop going after my bagels.
It's ridiculous, dude. Like, it's the shutting down of thought and investigation is becoming even more and more apparent to me the more I dive into this stuff, that you can't go back. It's the reality. There's a concerted effort to shut these conversations down.
Go into this next election. Go into this next election with this in your mind. There's all the evidence on one side and no investigation. And on the other side, it's the opposite.
Yeah, by design. Definitely. Absolutely.
It's yin and yang. You can just straight up see it right there. All the evidence on Biden's side, it's his son being a fuck up, but no, we don't talk about that. And then you got Trump getting all the investigations, like I don't know how many millions of dollars of resources spent on FBI or whatever raids, friggin'. And they're just trying to dig shit up. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's all for show. It's all for show.
Yeah, it is. It's the theater of war. It's all the world's a stage, and it needs actors.
It's all by deception. To quote, are you familiar with Ryan Dawson at all, Andrew?
Mm-mm.
He's one of my favorite independent journalists. He's a humanitarian, peace activist, anti-war.
Oh man, this is gonna end in 10 minutes.
I'll check him out,
yeah. Yeah, you'd probably dig him, man. He gets often mislabeled many things because he fucking talks about everything. He's not afraid to. But he put out what I think is like the holy grail of 9/11 documentaries called The Empire Unmasked. And it's 5 hours, dude. It's 5 hours of it has a history of false flags leading up to 9/11. So it takes a while to get there, but once it gets there, dude, it is like fuck. And yeah, he just lays it all out there. The criminality involved, just all the
Does he
shit.
men-
Go
does he
ahead.
mention Lucky Larry Silverstein in
Yeah.
that?
Oh yeah. 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 Oh yes. Yeah. You mean the guy that just happened not to be there?
That's
And
the
he,
whole fucking story.
dude.
Him and Rumsfeld and the money that went missing from the Pentagon coffers, and then you go back to even I think Oklahoma City, and even before that, people were making the connection that Yitzhak Rabin had a conversation with Rumsfeld, and they basically had a secret meeting with Cheney and okayed the whole operation to go down. Allegedly, I know that's a conspiratorial thought,
No, go with
and
it. Go.
but I'm pretty sure if you follow the money and you put two and two together and you're intellectually honest about the information that you are reviewing, you will come to the conclusion that it was an inside job 100%. And the evidence is only mounting and pointing in that direction as time marches on. So,
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's undeniable once you look into it that it's obvious that there's American involvement, there's Israeli involvement, the Saudis, all covertly working together. And I mean, the FBI had these people on watch lists way before it happened. And then when you look at the events of 9/11 that day, all the different arrests that took place the day of 9/11 that got just shoved under the carpet, it's fucking mind blowing. Like, are you familiar with like the Urban System Moving Company?
no.
Oh, okay. So yeah, there was I'm gonna probably fuck this up a bit, but there was multiple vans driving around in New York, and there was actually an Urban System Moving van in there, like in the basement of the towers. And they had a van that was driving around, and you can look this up, dude. I would not talk about it if it wasn't true, but
Oh, yeah, for sure.
there was a van driving around with a mural of the towers and a plane crashing into it. That was clearly a diversion, and they got pulled over.
No way.
Yeah, man, it was on the fucking news. And like you might faintly remember like the first news reports were that people got arrested in, I think it was the Lincoln Tunnel. There was a couple of vans that were pulled over. One of them had explosives in it. Like I remember that being on the news at the time, but then you never saw it again. It only showed up once. And so they detained a few people who worked for this company, Urban System Movers. They detained them because a woman had taken pictures of them, like parked at a vantage point, watching the plane hit the towers, and they were celebrating with their lighters like they were at a rock concert. And there was pictures taken of them, and there was a bolo put out. The fuck does bolo stand for again? Be on the lookout.
Mm-hmm.
And they detained this van with, I think there was like 3 dudes in it. There might have been 4, but in that van there was traces of explosives. That's just one of the vans. They had traces of explosives. The passenger had $4,000 stuffed in his sock. They all had plane tickets out of the country one way. Yeah, dude, it's really fucking wild.
Was that the one that was parked on the George Washington Bridge?
That's one of
You
them.
said that. Yeah, I heard about that part.
Mhm.
They had the news report aired it once and then they pulled it. There's a few of them like that.
Exactly.
Like the one where they're doing the news report. I think it was when it was airing. It was supposed to be after the plane or whatever the missile hit the Pentagon, but then you can see the Pentagon in the background and there's nothing going on.
Yes.
It's fine.
Yeah.
And that one got pulled from the media too. So, I mean, and even
In the Building 7 too, when they announced it on BBC, that
100%.
Building 7 came down and it hadn't even come down yet.
Same thing. And so, obviously, these are botches that
Yes.
it's going to take a little bit of research to discover. But once you discover it,
Email.
I don't understand how people can go backwards from
Check your email.
from those realizations.
Yup.
You know.
Yeah, no, me neither, man. And a lot of people, well, I mean, most people don't even know any of that shit happened, and that's the sad part of it all. And then when you tell some people some of the truths about 9/11, people, in my opinion, people like Alex Jones and a few other fucking fear porn artists have really done a good job like mucking it all up and spewing out, complete bullshit like fucking direct energy weapons or whoever that Susan I forget her name. I don't know. That fucking idiot that was putting shit out about that. And then, and just there was so many fucking cockamamie theories that I believe are just, controlled opposition. I could be wrong about that, but I mean, some of the theories are just so mind-boggling stupid. And it really pushes people away from paying attention and wanting to know the truth. Like, people are already done.
Exactly.
Dude,
That's
people
the
would.
goal.
Exactly. And once we started going into Iraq, people were done talking about it. They didn't even want to fucking hear the word 9/11.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
And that has all the implications of what we're dealing with today. Sorry, I'm not trying to head you off.
oh no, that's fine. I was just trying to figure out what I wanted to say in response to that because it's like you said, it's this over stimulation. It's the desensitizing us with too much information,
Mm.
and it creates this environment where you hear so many different stories, and I think that's part of the whole subversion plan and the whole all that stuff. That's the goal is to keep us so pissed off at each other, fighting back and forth, bickering about politics, Democrat, Republican. Like here's this story, and then there's this story, and then there's this story that contradict it, and like it creates this environment where you're either going to do one or two things. You're just going to believe whatever story you like because it lines up with what you want to think about a situation,
Yeah.
or you're going to look into it and find out what the actual truth is. And sadly, the people that take the time to really look into things are a very minute minority of people in this country, and that's why it's so easy to hoodwink and brainwash and manipulate people into thinking whatever the hell you want them to think. They got it down to a science now. The CIA, the Operation Mockingbird, the MK Ultra, like we have history, there's documents declassified that proves this occurred. And people still are just like, no, nope. I'm a Fox News guy. I'm an MSNBC guy.
Yeah.
I believe everything fucking Potato Head tells me. That's my team, and fuck your team, and I don't care what you say. Whatever my team does is cool, and I don't have to worry about the morality or the hypocrisy. Like, and it's just team binary, tribalism. And
Yes.
it's been used throughout history to control the populations by the aristocratic class. And nowadays, it's only getting more aristocratic at the top. These people, for the first time in history, I think every sitting member of the Senate is a multimillionaire. How are you gonna make? How do you make multi-millions of dollars on a six-figure government salary?
You fucking
What are you
don't.
doing? What are you doing?
1 minute
Clearly-
left. 1 minute left until we're kicked out of the Zoom meeting. I'm trying to work on it right now. But we'll hit you back and we'll keep the show going. I'm sorry to cut you off real quick, but we got one.
No, that's
minute
perfect.
left.
That's good. That's a good spot to edit it actually to stop. So yeah, I'll wait whenever you're ready.
Rock and roll.
We can keep going in the meantime. I'm almost there. Because,
okay.
yeah, if we try to edit on this computer, it kind of blows up.
Yeah,
let's not do that.
we're doing the best we can with what we got.
No, that's okay. Yeah, that's okay. So, yeah. Anyway, so just to kind of it's that's why I think I'm podcasting because, and I think you guys probably are too, and why a lot of us are getting into this is because it's one part therapeutic
Yes.
for us
Yes.
to get these ideas out and throw them into the world and see what sticks, and then it's one part. I look at my audience like I'm trying to entertain you, but I'm also trying to educate you too, and that's what the sharing of knowledge and information. It's been restricted so much that I think that's why.
Fuck.
Yeah.
And there he goes, people.
We lost him.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll have him right back, ladies and gentlemen.
We're coming back.
What's the zip code in Pembroke?
02359.
Yeah, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. We ran into a paywall in case.
It'll never happen again. We just
Yeah.
have to pay once. Yeah, no, man. It's so refreshing to talk to him. He's on point. He's just on point. And we hope you, the listeners, are enjoying this as much as we are. But if not, whatever, we're doing it for us anyway. So
Yeah, it's completing. It's completing right now, so we'll get right to it in just a couple moments. I wonder who's live right now. What cameras? Oh, we're blank. Nice.
No.
Oh, it's a black screen, guys. We're sorry. We're sorry. Not really though.
Andrew, hang
We
in
still
there.
got you.
Ah, fucking rookies. We're fucking rookies.
Yeah, I hear that.
The whole goal was to come in here and act like we had our shit together.
Yeah, true.
Not really. Not really.
It's all right. Sign out.
You know, we're talking to the big guns now. We're talking to the big guns now, and we're fucking
He'd
up.
love to hear that he's big time. Fuck yeah, Andrew. Yeah.
He will be, man. He's growing pretty fucking fast, and rightfully so.
Yeah, definitely. All right, guys. We're gonna invite him in right now. So sorry for the fucking delay. Yeah, we're the best. Killing it. I'll email him first.
He's gonna tell us, get your shit together, guys.
Yeah, man. All right, let's invite me.
Inviting
OBS
yourself.
up? Yeah, OBS is up. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hey.
We're gonna pretend
You
like
like
we
that?
didn't. We're gonna pretend like we edited all that out.
Yeah, we're gonna fucking pretend is right.
Fake it till you make it, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
Fucking lucky if I make it through this.
So now we're good to roll like fucking forever. That was when that 10 minutes popped up, I was like, my balls dropped.
I
was
know.
like, what the hell, man?
Oh no. That was Johnny on the spot though. I whipped out the card and was just like, "Hey, is that what you need?"
Yeah, thank you, dude. That was a lifesaver.
Teamwork, brother.
It's a hard rock life.
For us.
Yeah.
We should get Jay-Z to mix us a fucking version of that.
That Illuminati ass. Yeah, we'll see.
Perfect.
Hopefully he's joining.
Yeah.
He'll come back, ladies and gentlemen.
Hopefully.
This is good. This is good. This is a test of faith. Oh shit.
Yeah, there he is.
We just had to make a purchase.
Yo, yo, yo.
We just had to make a goddamn purchase.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, the 10 minutes popped up on the screen and my fucking heart broke.
Ah, dude, it's cool. You can chop that up. You
So
can chop that up. You're
I'm
good.
sorry to cut you off,
He's
guys.
not gonna chop that up.
If you
Andrew.
if you can pick up where you left off, that would be great. If not, we can carry
Oh.
this. We can carry.
Oh no,
this.
I think I was just talking about podcasting. I was saying like, for me, like I feel like I would do it even if I wasn't like entrepreneurial about it and wanting to make money at it. Which I mean, some money would be nice, right?
Yeah.
But and some growing listenership always it feels good. But I would do it because of just of the creative, artistic outlet. You know what I mean?
Man. Yeah, totally.
It's same thing with music. It's like
Yep.
it's like writing a song.
Oh, so
It's
you
like I
just
would
read
do
my
it
mind.
even if I don't sell it. Even if I'm not selling the song, I'm playing that song all the time. And I look at my podcast like that. Like we talked about earlier in the show. Like I'll go back and listen to old shows because I actually love the work. I love what I'm putting out there, and I'm going over it like surgically to make sure that it what I'm putting out there is timeless and it's going to stand the test of time. And um, like I said, and nobody trusts the media anymore. So I feel like if we're going to have a future, if we're going to save the republic, people need to start listening to podcasts and thinking about these concepts and
Yeah.
You
doing a
want to
little
swerve
research.
in a censorship then?
Sure.
Swear
Yeah,
wherever
like
you want.
we're on the production side. Our counterpart Kelly, she's wanting to upload to YouTube, and I'm always sketched out about it. Always have been. Just to
Yeah,
be
we
like,
won't last on YouTube.
Yeah, if it gets taken down, it's like why bother? You know what I mean? And it's like Spotify. They let all these people say whatever they want. Look at Charlie shitting on the fucking government every morning before I have my coffee, and fucking. And how do they how does that work? That can happen yet? I don't know, man.
Yeah, I think it's a slow process, and I think it's generational again. It's you introduce a little thing that goes unnoticed, and people just start getting used to it, and then it becomes commonplace. It's like, Arthur Schopenhauer, the three stages of truth. First it's ridiculed, then it's mocked and viciously attacked, and then it's eventually accepted as absolute truth. And I think that's what happens. That's how media manipulation and propaganda work, and why they're effective, is because they don't hit you with everything all at once. It's a slow
Like
process,
the
and
boiling
eventually
frog
over
effect.
time you start to notice it the older you get. And that's another reason why I think it's, uh, I'm in my 40s now. So I feel like it's my responsibility. If I'm going to give back to society in any way, I'm going to try to open people's minds to concepts and topics that maybe they don't, not only have they never thought about, but nobody's given it to them. Like, how do you know things if you don't have someone teaching us and instructing us? And if we don't have a pure news media, then market forces are going to demand podcasts and people talking about it somewhere, even if it's radio. You know what I mean? So
Dude, I'm so glad that like you're optimistic. I wasn't sure whether or not you were, black pilled or red pill, whatever they call it. I don't know, like pessimist
no,
or
I'm
optimist.
always optimistic,
Yeah,
man.
you
There's
seem like
always
hope.
hope.
You seem very hopeful. That's good.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't sound hopeful on my show very often, but I
It's
mean,
fucking hard to,
deep
man. It's hard when you're
deep
talking about
down,
this.
yeah, yeah. I mean, deep down, I am, though, because I know that I know how it felt. You guys know how it felt. That day that you heard this little piece of this little piece of information that you just dwelled on, and it truth bombed your brain, and it was inspirational and fascinating and interesting, and you went down the rabbit hole.
Yep.
And that's how it starts. And it's only a matter of time before that starts happening for everybody. I think it's already happening,
It
guys. I
is. It
think it's already
definitely is.
happening.
Yeah, there's more and more people that are
I'm
waking up.
I'm starting to have more faith in the younger people and the younger generations, because the more the reality of politics and government and what's happening with world events starts to a picture starts to form, if you pay, even a little bit of attention to it. It's only a matter of time
For
before
sure.
people go, wait a second, what about this? What about this? This doesn't add up. Now you're in.
Yeah.
Now that's the red pill. Now you're in. You can't go back.
Yeah, for sure, man. And when would you say that happened for you?
um, Boy, it's a great question. I think again it was probably a slow process. I think it started in my military career when I saw just little things, little questionable things, reasons why this happened, reasons why we're doing this, why are we going here? Why are these people on the ship? What is the special boat unit doing late at night? Nobody knows. Like there's stuff that goes on all the time that you can just fall in line and do what you're told and not think about it. Or I've always been a thinking person, so uh, and curious too. So
Thank
we
God.
start thinking about stuff, and then so that was where it started for me, just becoming a worldly person and traveling around the world. Then I went to college, and I read a lot. I read at length about everything. I mean, I got books. If you see this right here, this is one right here, bookshelf of two. I mean, I go to half price books. I buy books all the time. And one time I picked up a book about Skull and Bones, Yale
Yeah.
University, and
Yeah.
I read about 322. I read about Bush and Prescott and HWW. I read about the initiation ceremonies. I read about the history. And then I learned about Tragedy and Hope by Carol Quigley, that basically lays out how the bankers and the alleged quote unquote robber barons took over during the Industrial Revolution, and did everything they could, used violence and manipulation, and uh, went mafia style on taking over and getting rid of their market competition so they could monopolize the railroad, and Henry Ford monopolized the car industry. And a lot of that happened with help from their government buddies, and that's where it started. So you start to figure that shit out. I did anyway when I was in college. I read that book, and then I just read a lot, and I read things over time that you start seeing crossover. You know what I mean? This author talked about this, and then this other author talked about this, and then I'm like, oh. So you guys are both seeing this the same way, you know. And then I'm like, it's like pieces of the puzzle start to fall into place just be out of the research, out of the pure quest for knowledge and truth. And when that stuff started happening for me, that's when I knew. That's when I was like, okay, this is going to be just part of my life. I'm gonna research. I'm gonna read. I'm gonna dive into stuff and hope to fully understand it. Especially when the things that we've been seeing going on in our world, in our country, ever since 9/11, and especially since COVID. Holy shit! Is it's fast forwarding all of those thoughts for not only myself but a lot of us.
Yeah.
And if you're not ready for it, if you don't have a mentally tough perspective, it can drive people crazy. And I think that's another reason why the mental health situation in our country is so out of control, is because the propaganda is a big part of that.
Yeah.
The media propaganda is, they want you to feel pathetic and useless and hopeless and fighting with each other and in constant fight or flight mode so that they can continue running the show behind the scenes and going to the fucking bank with all of our money. And that's the facts.
Order
It's a
through
part of
chaos, right?
mental health that's being hijacked and gaslighted. You know what I mean?
Fuck yeah, it is. Yeah. And the whole order through chaos happens in
Yeah,
so many
exactly.
levels.
And that's a whole nother rabbit hole. Once you start looking at the occult and who's been involved with that over time, and boy.
Yeah, man. Well, you mentioned like Prescott and Bush and all that fucking Bush murder death fucking cult.
Yeah, Magog.
Yeah, yeah,
You
dude.
guys are familiar with that term?
No,
Gog
mate.
and Magog. Oh,
No.
that's another. So George H.W. Bush, I guess his like name in the cult fraternity was Magog, and Magog, I think it is. And if you go look it up, you'll be interested in what that's all about. Very interesting stuff.
Does that have
They got
anything to do
secret.
with like gematria or something?
I think it has to do with certain occult symbolism and phrase, word magic, phraseology, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't dive into it that much, but the amount of knowledge I have on it that I've just kind of picked up from different places over time, and I kind of put it together. But you can never really know because a lot of that information is secret. That's why it's called the occult. It's hidden. Only
Yeah.
certain people are taught that stuff. It's not to be known by the general population. And they might even kill you if you start talking about certain things
Yeah.
with regard to all that. So that's why, that's why it's a secret. It's a secret society. Like you're not supposed to know.
Dude, yeah. You mentioned a lot of names that just ring evil. Like I when you started talking about like the Industrial Revolution and like railroads too, weren't the Vanderbilts like a big part of that?
Huge family.
And
in
that's like
American
Anderson,
history.
Anderson Cooper, for those who don't know, is like a Vanderbilt's son.
He's part of the line. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, that's fucking
And there's a lot of
nuts.
those, especially when you look in the news media, the crossover between some of the wealthiest families in this country and some of the people that literally went from mainstream media news and from government positions in some administration into the media. I mean, just the fact that that revolving door happens,
Yeah,
not only between government and business, between government media and business. I mean, of course they're looking out for themselves. Of course they're going to tell you stories that they want you to believe that's going to help their businesses thrive. I mean, how much Pfizer advertising did you see during the pandemic?
holy shit,
It's
man.
fucking ridiculous. It's so obvious that it's a concerted business plan being implemented. And it just drives me bananas when you see it. And I look at my fellow Americans and I'm just like, I just want to shake the shit out of some of you. Like, how do you not see how colluded and conspired and monopolized all of these institutions are and have been for years and years and years and years and years?
Yeah. Yeah, it's gross, dude. And Pfizer, yeah, fuck, man. Every commercial I hear is about either Pfizer or some kind of pharmaceutical. It's everywhere.
That's not a coincidence.
And they have
Not
so
a
many like
coincidence.
Pfizer has like I think the most lawsuits against them out of like any like vaccine.
They have
like,
the biggest criminal fine in history.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I mean, they have
The
plenty
largest
to
criminal
boot.
fine in history.
That's fucking
Like that's why there's medical malpractice lawyers as a branch of that like schooling just for that. I can't imagine they get much funding, but I mean, like you know, they're there.
Yeah.
It's a monopoly. I mean, the medical industry is so corrupted and it's so nuts how things operate. I mean, even if you're a type of person that's anti universal healthcare, I mean, at some point you're going to have to start thinking about that kind of stuff because what's happening is just such a perversion of what should be happening and what we should logically do to be helping people. And if it's all about money and commodification, keeping you sick so that they can keep that money, that bottom line rolling in, where's the sanctity of life? Like, I don't know if you're religious, if you guys are religious or not. I don't know if you're spiritual or whatever, but like, if regardless of what your religious beliefs are, I challenge any American to ask themselves, you know, what do you what level of importance do you hold a human life? And I'm not trying to get into the abortion conversation. I'm just saying,
Yeah,
what
whatever.
is the value of a human life?
You should be
If we're
punished for killing
if we're
someone.
disposable, if you know what I mean, like, it makes you feel like the medical industry and the government's like, no, you guys are disposable. We'll patch it up. We'll get you to the next roadblock where you need another pill, where you need another whatever.
Yeah.
It's all reactive. It's not proactive,
It's
and
data.
that's by design.
Yeah.
And so if you want to live in a country where your status quo is you have to work yourself into the ground for your sustenance, and you're gonna destroy your health in pursuit of the dollar. It's like the Dalai Lama, and then you're gonna spend all your money recuperating your health, and then you're gonna die having never really lived or whatever. However, it's like such a right on point of view. It's like people feel like they're gonna live forever, and if you're going to chase the dollar just to have a roof over your head, and then you get to retirement age and you have so many medical issues that you can't even
65.
enjoy
Yeah.
your retirement.
65.
That's slavery,
Yeah.
guys. that's
Yeah.
that's wage corporate wage slavery.
Yeah,
And I
that's
know I'm not a socialist, I'm not a left minded person,
Now
but
you're just logical.
at some point you have to face it,
Yeah.
that the only way you're going to make money in this country is if you start your own business and are an entrepreneur. And the only way you can do that is to educate yourself and to know things. And if you don't even care to learn, you're going to be working for someone else the rest of your life. You might as well be a slave. You might as well already just call yourself, I'm a slave. I threw in the towel. I have no hopes and dreams. Fuck it. I just need a paycheck. It's just
Show me the
sad
Netflix.
existence.
Or you need like the World Economic Forum to take over, and so you don't have to own anything and like it.
That's what's going to happen.
so you
Yeah.
could
They're
bitch
gonna
about other
distract us
people's
with-
carbon.
Yep. And that's how they're going to do it. They're going to just lull us to sleep right into virtual reality,
Yeah.
plug us into the matrix, and you're never going to have to worry about anything. Aldous Huxley's painless concentration camp, a prison with no walls where the prisoners would never dream of escaping. That's the future in the new world order, in the World Economic Forum's eyes.
Yeah.
That's why you got like an A+ from me, dude. Your charisma is like through the roof, doing what you do.
Yeah, he gets it.
Yeah.
I'm very passionate about it. Once I have something figured out, I'm like, when I get ready to do a show, like the preparation I put into it, like people don't see that, and it's my neurosis. It's my nervous tick. It's my creative outlet now. I'm not playing in bands anymore. That's how that was my therapy for many years, with music and getting on stage. And now that I'm older, getting behind the mic on a podcast is going to be, how I ride off into the sunset. So
Wow, you're doing a great job of it, man. See, you came
Thanks,
up in
guys.
like the punk scene, and
yeah. So yeah, you want to turn up the optimism and the fun, talk about some music?
Yeah.
we'll talk about all of it.
So when I was in the Navy, I started writing songs out at sea. I had old school shitty, like Jag Stain kind of guitar, and I had stickers all over it, and I kept this little amp in this little area in CIC where I worked, and When I had time off, I'd plug it in and just start jamming, and people would come in and we'd sing songs, and other guys that played, they had a band on the ship, and so I actually got to play music with some guys out to sea because what else are you gonna do?
Yeah.
You know, play cards, sit on the mess deck, fuck off, read books. You know, there's not a lot to do recreationally on a Navy ship. So that's when I started kind of playing uh, in bands, quote unquote, just jamming with people, and I started really getting into it. And so I eventually got the idea to, I was like, I'm gonna try to write some songs. So I'd get like 6, 7 songs together, and then I went to one of the guys that I worked with as a drummer. I found a guy that played bass, and right on base at 32nd Street in San Diego was this little place called the Rec Yard, and
Nice.
it was kind of like this recreational place that it was kind of like a commissary where you could buy, oh, excuse me, snacks and candy, and like you could
Hand me down musical
yeah,
instruments.
I'm gonna age myself. You could rent video games and movies.
Oh,
Fuck
fuck
yeah.
yeah,
We're at that
You
age.
know,
yeah, we're there.
yeah. So, but they also had these little practice studios in there where you could go in and just rent an hour's worth of time. And so
Wow.
we would do that just for fun. We'd go in there and try to hash out like 5, 6 songs, and so that kind of started happening over time. And then eventually we got to a point where we're like, all right, like, should we try to play a show? Like, should we try to like play in front of people? And this little coffee shop on El Cajon Boulevard in San Diego, I called this place, and they were like, yeah, you guys can come down, play a few songs. And it was over by College Area by San Diego State. And that was the first show I ever played. This little coffee shop allowed us to make fools of ourselves in public. And few people in the crowd, and it was the crowd, a few people in the
the
chairs,
the
I
few
guess,
people.
yeah, seemed to like it. And
Nice.
and that's where it started for me. And then fast forward, 10 years later, I was in 4 or 5 different bands, played all over the southwestern United States. My last band, Nonprofit, we recorded with Ryan Green, famed punk rock producer. He's recorded everybody: Strung Out, Lagwagon, Guttermouth, any punk rock band you can think of.
My
He's
favorite.
probably had his hand in it at some point. So that was one of the highlights of my life. We stayed with him for 2 weeks out in Scottsdale when he had a studio out there, Crush Recording Studio it was
Yep.
called, and he had like bunk beds in there, and we literally would wake up and go to bed for 2 weeks, just hashing out music and hashing out our EP, and uh, I loved every second of it, man. It was awesome.
That
And
sounds awesome.
Yeah, that's what we're
so
hoping
yeah,
this
so
space is.
then when I moved back to Minneapolis, I started a band called The Launch, and we played around for a couple of years, and then everyone just got older, families, kids, priorities, and I didn't have that outlet anymore. And so then after doing nothing creative for a few years, that's when I got the idea for the podcast. So
That's awesome. That's a good story.
thanks. Yeah,
Dude.
it's just a gradual progression over time. Like anytime you want to do, and this is what I tell people all the time now, like if you really want to find purpose or happiness or joy out of life, you have to find what you love to do,
Mm.
and let it fucking kill you, man. And I mean that. Like, do it until you can't do it anymore. And I think that's how people are gonna live a happy, fulfilling life. Is to just not pay attention to the noise. You just stay in your lane. You do what you do. You focus on what you can control, and what you can control is you. In fact, that's all you can control. So the quality of your life is 100% your decision. And if you're going to be a doom and gloom, be radicalized by fundamentalist Christianity, or funny fundamentalist Islam, or any of these crazy,
Any,
Zionists,
yeah, any
whatever's out there,
fundamental thing, yeah.
like if you want to take those ideas and those realities to that level, you're going to eventually develop a substance abuse problem. You might get suicidal. Your mental health is going to be shit. You're going to destroy any relationship that you have in your life. Like, you got to stay positive, and you got to focus on love. You got to get away from fear, and you got to start moving towards love. And love is loving yourself. And that means a healthy level of selfishness. Like, you got to look out for number one. You can't just doormat for everybody in the world outside of you. And I feel like too many people do that. And that's where a lot of their problems come from. They don't have the balls to do what they want to do. And that's where happiness begins, in my opinion.
Yeah, because of
Yeah.
bills. Kevin and I were talking on the phone about that like last night. Just it's just all about the chase for people that don't get it. You know what I mean?
It's a carrot and a stick. Yep.
Money comes and goes. Don't sell your shit, folks. You might never have that shit. You might never get that shit back. Money comes and goes. If you're just gonna spend it on a roof over your head for a month, then
Well, and you know what? Here's a good check. So, like, let's say you get to age 40, and I'm just picking an arbitrary age. I mean, whatever, middle age, right? And if you look at your life and you feel like you start to think that you're running out of time, like, oh shit, I'm getting older, like certain things just aren't available to me anymore. That is the devil lying to you.
Yeah, that's a
yeah,
You can
mind
do
killer.
whatever you want to do. And I've seen people, if you set your mind to something, you'd be very surprised in just a year or two. I mean, shit, we got done talking about before. I've only been podcasting for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not making millions of dollars at it, but I'm already popular enough to be asked to go on other shows. I've invited people onto my show, and my guests are getting more and more popular, I guess
hell
you could
yeah.
say, or like they have higher popularity level or whatever that means. And then you start stacking all the socials and the connections and the links on top of it. It grows organically, and it's possible. And I want people that doubt themselves and don't believe that they can do it to just know that, look, if you just don't stop, like, you're gonna fail. You're gonna fuck up, you're gonna make mistakes,
Mm.
right? But
You
that's how you
have to.
learn, that's how you grow.
Yeah.
You have to. If you're not failing, you're not trying. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Fucking A, man. Well put. Again.
thanks.
Man, that's what got me into like all this stuff was music. I mean, with like the whole truth movement, because when I've been playing a performance since I was a kid, but I was saying to you earlier, I went on a tour in Europe back in
Yeah, I
'04.
want to talk about that. Yeah, tell me those stories.
Well, yeah, we went to. I mean, many stories from that one tour alone, but we went to. We were in Kosovo, and I was playing bass for a band called 25 to Life at the time, and they're all from like New York and they're like
Nice.
a hardcore straight edge band. I was not, but I yeah, I had the opportunity to go on tour with these guys. The singer Rick asked me if I could play bass for them, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, dude! Free tour, 20 years old, let's go."
Hell yeah.
I ended up,
Perfect.
yeah, it was amazing, and that wasn't the first time I played out, but that was the most significant anyway because they had quite the following over there, and we ended up in Kosovo, and this was my first like real eye-opening account. We were driving by this. I would later find out it was a school for kids hard of hearing, but it was in rubble, and there were soldiers standing in front of it with M16s in their hands or whatever. They could have been AK-47s. I don't remember. I think they were M16s, but the tour bus guy, our tour, our kind of like tour guide, I asked him, I'm like, what the fuck is going on around here? Is this like safe? He's like, yeah, well, this has been going on since like your president, Bill Clinton, had his conflict with Kosovo and Milosevic and all that. It was '04, so on the grand scale of time, it really wasn't that long ago when we were there that it all happened. And we drove by that in a church that it was standing, but it was all bombed out. And he went on to tell us that he was playing a skateboard video game. I forget what game it was, with a friend of his in his apartment. His little brother left to go to school, and they're playing. And dude, it gets me so choked up like thinking about it now because we cried hard. He cried hard. I grabbed him. We were hugging each other. It was quite the moment. But he was saying that when his little brother left, and then they started hearing like the planes and everything going overhead, and just the ground was shaking like an earthquake. And he forgot that his brother just left for school because it was so caught up in the moment. He ended up, once everything kind of stopped, his friend was like, your brother. and they ran outside, and he looked down the street because they lived right down the street for that school, and his brother was hard of hearing. He went to that school, and yeah, it was in rubble, and yeah, and all wars, they have atrocities, but like what I began to learn then was that like all wars involve deception, and he was saying, and I was so grateful because it was such an awkward moment for me being from America, but like, oh fuck, is he telling me this? Because um,
Yeah.
and I said, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry that happened to you, and he's like, no, he's like, you're American. He's like, you're not your government, and I was like, right, yeah, fuck no, I'm not my government, and
Yeah.
it was just like a very touching moment, and we talked about how when they were dealing with Milosevic in Kosovo that we hit a lot of civilian buildings, and I think it was mostly civilian buildings, and I mean Clinton was a fucking monster.
Monster.
Yeah,
He's part of that. He's part of the. He's best friends with H.W. Bush. They're
yeah,
all in the club.
yeah, he went. Did he go to Yale too? Did Clinton go to Yale?
I want to say Georgetown. I
Okay.
can't remember, but
Yeah.
it's the Ivy League. I
Yeah.
mean, are you guys
Well, they're all
familiar with?
connected for sure.
I was gonna say, are you familiar with that book, Tragedy and Hope? Carol Quigley, Georgetown
No.
professor.
No.
Just what I.
Oh, you guys got to go check out my episode, Tragedy and Hope.
Okay.
It's one of my most listened to episodes. It's one of the thickest books I've ever read through. I haven't read the whole thing, but I read enough to pick out some very, very important pieces of information that uh, basically Carol Quigley blows the whistle
Right
on how connected the Ivy Leagues are
on.
to the big endowments that fund them, which are the Rockefellers, the the Rockefeller Republicans, the
Yeah.
Vanderbilts, like you said, the Pillsburys, the Fords, the Heinz family, all the big money families. Um, they go handpick
Mm.
who they want to be in charge of the engine from the Ivy League schools, and that's what the secret societies are all about.
Yeah.
They pick from the richest 1% families. There's a lot of bloodline stuff that goes on. You guys
Oh
know
my God,
that
the bloodlines. Yeah, it's
the
insane,
bloodline thing
man.
is a big deal. People don't realize that. It's a big deal to the
Yeah.
upper echelon.
If I
That's
may,
yeah,
what
yeah.
is the Club of Rome? Does that have a lot to do with Skull and Bones and that kind of the schools and stuff, or is that something
So,
totally different?
so what I know about the Club of Rome is it's very similar to like your Bilderberg group or
Okay,
your Council of Foreign Relations, or it's just a group.
it's a
All
company.
these, yeah, yeah, all these people have groups within groups. They have groups that they're a part of with these people. They have groups that they're in with these other people. The Carlisle group with George H.W. That kind of thing. There's so
Okay,
many little of these clubs, and the Club of Rome is one of them that's connected with the Vatican. Kissinger, Rothschilds, all the Jesuits, all that stuff that we always talk about, and that's proven. I mean, you can look at the history. All you got to do is look at the history, and you can see that
Yeah, the
from
real history, not the shit they're telling you at school.
exactly,
uh,
exactly.
is the Vatican at the top? Do you think
I think
a
it's
part
they're
of the
up
top?
there.
If the
well, I
crown
think
has jewels, it is one of the jewels, I suppose.
yeah. So I make this argument in the past is crazy, and this you can see this in the first couple Fall of the Cabal sequel
Yeah.
series videos. Janet Osbard, she does a great job of explaining the history. And to the best of my knowledge, what it seems like happened was the Knights Templar kind of, you know, grew into the military wing of the Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church, with the Jesuits and all that kind of stuff. And they were doing their thing, controlling and dominating for years and years and years, right? And then you had the Freemasons, the original Masons, and then the Freemasons later. And there's some secret knowledge there that nobody knows about, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Both of them were both of them were great bankers. Great banking families came out of a lot of these groups. The Khazars and the Rothschilds, that became Zionists, I guess, allegedly, whatever, same group of people.
Yeah.
Um, and allegedly, the way it worked, or the way it happened, was a secret meeting. Adam Weishaupt had a secret meeting one time, and he joined together the Khazars, Rothschild banking, line, bloodline that goes back to that. Because
Yeah.
that's what they say that the Khazars are, or that the Rothschild family are ancestors of Khazars. And when they got exiled from that region, they moved west. And then over time, that's where the five sons, the five families they talk about that settled in Frankfurt, Vienna, Berlin, like whatever the five cities are, that were all Rothschild children, the sons of Amschel Mayer Rothschild. And allegedly, that whole line came from ancient Khazaria. Okay,
Okay.
and their ancestors were the Phoenicians,
Yeah.
the
So
Sumerians.
that's like the black nobility, right?
Yeah, that's where all that stuff comes from, right? So
Yeah.
that's allegedly what happened when they formed the Illuminati. The Illuminati allegedly is a meeting that occurred between the Roman Catholic Church and the Jesuits, Freemasons, whoever, and the Rothschild Khazars that were exiled from Russia in
Rockefeller.
what is modern day Ukraine. And that's
Yeah.
when they joined the most evil motherfuckers that controlled everything on this planet for years joined forces at that point. And that's where all of your Illuminati conspiracy theories come from. Is this alleged meeting that took place with Adam Weishaupt when he created that organization, and that's what it consisted of, was those groups of people all joining forces. And this happened back at I think it was the Reformation years, when the Protestant Reformation, and then the Council of Trent and all that kind of stuff in history. So
Yeah, it's amazing how fucking old this stuff is.
We could
oh,
turn it
it's
back to
ancient.
music too. One
Yeah,
of those,
It's
literally,
ancient.
literally
one of
ancient.
the arms of those foundations of institutions of the bloodlines was the Tavistock Institute, and they
Oh yeah,
freaking created the Beatles,
Yeah, yeah,
and
dude.
that
they
was
created pop culture.
yeah,
Right,
and
right.
that
I would make the
was
argument that they created pop culture on
I
purpose.
think that's fair.
and walking the line of MK Ultra even talks about that. Once the America got involved and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Within the music industry. The Doors being, an example of that. Gulf of Tonkin, that
Yeah.
whole relation.
For those who don't know, Jim Morrison's father was what was his rank?
Admiral John Morrison.
Oh, okay, and yeah, and
Oh,
he's the guy that spout out the narrative of the Gulf of Tonkin that ultimately thrusted us into Vietnam, which turned out to be nothing. It wasn't even anything that happened. It didn't
yeah,
even
and
fucking happen.
well, and I think that Jim Morrison and the whole psychedelic acid trip thing
Yes,
that
yes,
occurred during that era,
yeah.
that was when
Psyop.
Operation the MK Ultra. Those were the height. That was the height of the MK Ultra years, where
Yeah,
they were
yeah,
they're purposely dosing the general population. I mean, Operation Midnight Climax. They had
yes,
CIA guys that
dude.
would send prostitutes out on the streets and bring dipshits back that thought they were going to get laid. They'd dose them with LSD just to see what the effects were, and that's how
Yeah.
they started doing research. Like they were literally
Data.
So
the intelligence communities have been terrorizing
yeah.
the American people for years and years and years and years, and you never fucking hear about it. And there's a reason
So
that you never fucking hear about it.
have you read Tom O'Neill's book Chaos? Is that
No,
is
I have not.
that's I haven't either, but I need to because that's all about Midnight Climax and that everything you just talked about. And it's like I don't know, it took him like 20 or 30 years to do all of the research that he did for that book, and it came out a couple of years ago. It's not that old, but yeah,
I'm gonna check it out now.
yeah, I gotta pick it
That's
up.
right up my alley.
Dude, it's wild because he talks about like Charles Manson and how he was tied in with the CIA, and it talks about Operation Midnight Climax, and I don't know if he mentions Whitey Bulger, but that was another guy. He was another guy that
Hmm.
when he was in prison, they were dosing him up with LSD, and that was before he really took over like South Boston, you know.
That's
Yeah,
us. That's us, by the
I
way.
what's that?
We're out on the East Coast.
Yeah.
If people were
Oh yeah,
wondering
yeah.
from your audience.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, I knew that. Yeah. No, I was gonna say though, I there was I did a research project actually on Charles Manson. I read all of Vincent Bugliosi's book Helter Skelter. He
Yeah.
was the lawyer that prosecuted him.
Yup.
Dude, that guy is a shill, 100% shill.
Damn.
Even the lawyer that went after him, it was such an orchestrated thing. And I made the argument in one of my previous episodes. I said, isn't it funny that crazy ass Charlie Manson back in the '60s creating communes, dosing people up with psychedelic drugs, and saying that the CIA wanted to create a race war between white and black people. Who would have thunk that 80 years in the future
Yeah.
that would have been exactly what he was right? How, like, who would have thought that we were going to look back on crazy ass Charlie Manson and go, damn, that guy fucking nailed it. He actually
Right.
knew what he was talking about.
Fuck yeah.
It drives you nuts.
It does. Yeah, it totally does, man. It's like that with some crazy motherfuckers like Charles Manson, like even the Unabomber, fucking his whole manifesto, like
Timothy McVeigh.
No,
No,
that was Oklahoma. Who's the fucking Ted Kaczynski? Kaczynski.
yeah.
Yeah,
Ted
Unabomber.
Kaczynski.
Oh yeah, he had some good ideas.
Yeah, he was fucking.
That's a controversial statement, but I'll say it. I mean,
Sure.
if you read his stuff, you're like, holy shit, this guy's onto something.
He was onto something. It just sucks that he was like out of his mind and decided to fucking do what he did, but he wasn't wrong. And a lot of these people who seem out of their mind, they're not wrong.
Yeah, and he was connected. He was a smart guy,
Yeah.
brilliant, connected to the same intelligence communities and government organizations. It's like even the most that I made that point in the episode I just dropped, the Supercut show, Reality Lies, Damn Lies, Statistics Part 4, We're Fucked. I say in there that a lot of these conspiracy theorist guys, the Robert Welch Jr., the G. Edward Griffin, the Robert David Steele, the QAnon guy, all these guys were former intelligence community people. Ted Gunderson was the FBI director before he started talking about satanic ritual abuse and chemtrails and everything else. Before
Yeah.
he popped his ass. Like,
Yeah.
there's a concerted effort going on. It's obvious, people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there's a common variable: the intelligence community.
And with intelligence, it's so hard to fucking tell though, like what's misinformation versus like what's the truth, and
Ooh,
it's really, you have to look deep and to even understand, like, okay, these things are definitely true, but I'm being very vague, but like, what the fuck is this over
You're
here?
right,
Like, you know what I mean?
The only thing
You're
you
absolutely
have,
right, though.
the only rules that you can actually commit to when you think about these guys, these intelligence services, is they don't work within their own countries. And I believe they do hold to that. So it's like MI5, Mossad.
They all work with each
they're
other.
They're all here.
Yeah.
And, we're over there everywhere,
Yes.
obviously. We already have army bases like in 60 goddamn countries or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you just look at the contractors. You look at how military contracting, private mercenary forces work. We saw that with the Persian Gulf War.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me that they're doing the same thing in the militaries around the world that they're doing in Ivy League schools? They're hand picking
Oh, yeah.
the people with the personality characteristics that are going to take the blood oath. Once you're in, you're in. This is your life. We're going to take care of you. You're going to live a lavish life, and you can't ever talk about what you're doing. And if you do, it's over. It's curtains for you. I think that's how it operates. I think that's how they do it.
I think you're 1,000% right. Yeah, definitely, man.
Have you guys seen? Oh my God! Have you guys seen that video of Kevin Hart on what's the singer from the? God damn it! I'm gonna forget her name. She's the American Idol girl.
Kelly Clarkson.
Kelly Clarkson. There you go. Apparently, there's this video going around where Kelly Clarkson's interviewing Kevin Hart, and she says, "Yeah, I've been approached by." A lot of people early in my career, and they offered me money to do things I didn't want to do. And Kevin Hart's watching this, and he goes,
"Oh boy!"
He starts doing this. For the people that are listening and can't see the video, I'm shushing with my finger, and I'm like saying, "Don't say that." And this is on national fucking television.
Wow, I gotta.
So
Yeah,
what does Kevin Hart know?
Dude,
I don't know.
Well, he was a vaccine pusher with Snoop Dogg on national television.
Oh, was he?
Yeah,
This
during
is
the
my
Winter
point.
Olympics.
No shit.
This is my point.
You can't be
And
that
there's another
big,
video
man.
there's another video I saw, some old hip hop guys, like producers. I can't remember who they were, but there was like 4 or 5 of them on this video I saw talking about certain government officials talking about, we're going to blow you up. You're going to be the next hip hop whatever.
Yeah. Are
This
you
is
talking about
right
Lazy
song.
Bone from one of the Bone Thugs and Harmony
Yeah,
bands?
yeah, yeah. I think that's what it
Yeah,
was.
because
Yeah,
he's
and that goes back to what you guys said about Tavistock, how they're creating this
Boom.
stuff in the pop culture.
yeah, and it never stops. It just changes names. Like they just don't stop. Even the operations, man, like MK Ultra, like yeah, they had to shut it down, but it didn't end.
Yeah, you have Billie Eilish with black goo coming out of her eyes before she turns 18.
The satanic imagery I see in everything, and I'm not a fucking super religious guy, but I mean, you have to be blind not to see this shit. It's fucking
sure.
everywhere. In every sport, I see athletes throwing up like the devil horns or like the OK symbol, which like most people associated with OK, but I mean it's very known within certain circles. That's 666, and
Mhm.
you see it
Did you
everywhere.
see? Did you see Prince? I think it was Harry. I forget what Prince. Yeah, it was Harry. Prince Harry. After Queen Elizabeth died, he was in this press conference with, I forget. There was some girl. I
Fucking
can't remember his
Elizabeth,
wife. Yeah,
Elizabeth.
but he had that the devil horn. Have you seen the Freemasonic thing where they put their hand? It's called
Yes,
the
inside the.
hidden hand of the
Yep.
fifth realm or the third realm, or
Yeah,
where
they
they
put
put
it
their
like
hand
in their
inside their.
pocket. Like,
Yep. So there's a sign where you do that, but instead of doing it like this with your like full hand, you're doing the devil horn in the lapel.
okay.
And Prince
I've seen
Harry
that.
did
I've
that.
seen that.
He did that very, very obviously in this press
Oh,
conference after the Queen died. So there,
wow.
I used to make this case with the QAnon videos. I'm like, if there's anything the QAnon videos got right,
Yeah.
is that the phrase symbolism will be their downfall. Because now that
Yeah.
as soon as you see the symbolism, like you said, it is obvious. You
Oh,
can
dude.
see it everywhere.
You really can, and like, yeah, to talk on the QAnon thing for a little bit, I was skeptical of them from the very fucking start because nothing gets that big unless somebody wants it to. Like they could have been shut down if they actually were legit. They would not have gotten as big as they got, in my opinion. But the
It's a
powers of
psyop.
exactly, it's just, that's my point. Yeah, man. I
Intelligence community
it's
created all
it's
that
a
shit for
shame
sure.
because they brought up I think they did wake a lot of people up to certain things that are really happening, and that's good. I mean, people,
I think they did it on purpose because they're trying to stir it up.
well,
They're
they have to
trying to stir it up.
right? Don't they have? Isn't there something like they have to do it in front of your face, almost like a vampire has to get invited into your house? Like they tell you what they're doing in one form or the other.
Predictive programming.
Manufacturing consent or whatever the fuck.
Manufacturing consent.
All of
Yeah,
that. That is
yeah.
all those things you just said. Those are the tools. Yep,
So
that's
you
exactly how they do it.
so you buy that stuff? Like you believe that?
Believe what?
Like what we're talking about?
Oh
Like,
yeah, I mean, manufacturing consent is obvious.
Yes, yes.
That goes back to Walter Lippmann, Noam Chomsky,
Yep.
Edward Bernays. These guys wrote about it.
I only know
Noam
Noam Chomsky as being affiliated with that. I didn't know that the other guys. That's cool.
Oh yeah, go pick up the Edward Bernays book, Propaganda. You'll
Right
learn a
on.
lot. That's and then I don't know if you guys know the story that whoever created Netflix is an heir of Edward Bernays. He's
Oh,
a part
really?
of the Bernays family.
Wow.
And did you know that Netflix has never turned a profit since
No.
its inception?
Really?
So it's being funded and kept alive for one reason or another. And I
So
would
they're
make
just
the
printing
argument.
money. They're just fucking throwing money at it then.
Where
Well,
does
they're-
my
well, they're-
subscription
they're-
money go?
It's being funded and kept afloat because they're pushing propaganda. Everything you watch on that thing is propaganda. All
And
those
they-
movies, all those shows, it's
they-
propaganda.
They sign everything. They don't like turn anything down. Like if you had a show, pitch it to Netflix, man. Like they'll probably.
Oh,
take it
100%.
on. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, are you guys familiar with the Great Deception podcast?
Oh yeah,
I've heard of it.
Matty T. He's from
Yeah, Matt T from Great Deception.
Yeah,
I've
he's
never
So-
heard it, but I've heard of it.
He go back and listen to one of his first episodes where he does a deep dive into Disney and Monarch mind
Oh,
control.
fuck
Oh,
yeah, dude.
dude, yeah.
It
has multiple
is
ones.
mind blowing.
I started a
He
hip
is
hop
so
project
good.
named after that. Not telling
Yeah,
anybody
he's
that
so good at what he does.
So
He's doing really
okay.
well.
So he gets into the monarch mind control and all that.
He starts there and then he goes into he talks about
Fuck,
Uh,
man.
I should
the Third
email
Reich.
him for an hour or two.
Yeah. Well, and he has the Monday Night Master Debaters group show that him and Ryan
and
Dean
people.
do. Yeah, so I mean, they have everybody on. You guys, if you guys want to promote the show, you should definitely get on there on one of the Monday Night Master Debaters show, because I've had a lot of people reach out to me because they said they heard me on his show.
Yeah.
No
So
shit.
it's a good place to go have a convo or two when you're starting out, for
I'll
sure.
be listening
Matt's
to
a
that
great guy.
tomorrow. No kidding. Yeah, I'll be
Yeah, his
listening.
series on monarch mind control and Disney is awesome, and he talks about
Ugh.
Tartaria.
And the
He's a
mud
huge
flood.
ancient mud floods. He's a huge ancient architecture and buildings guy now.
Okay.
The world fairs. He talks about the world fairs and the orphan
Yeah.
trains and all the hidden history that occurred and there's evidence of, but you're not reading it in your history books.
He's got some video
Dude,
too.
those we actually talked about the World Fair stuff with Balboni on our podcast a couple
Yeah,
months ago.
we conjured Maddie.
We barely
over there.
did we?
Yeah, that's what he was talking about. Like, probably a couple months before we actually started talking about that. But
Okay. Yeah, there's another guy.
The mud
that
flood stuff is crazy too, because when you see like the scientific experiments where they try to recreate it, you're like, dude, if that happened on a real on the scale that they say, like, no shit, it leveled everything out of existence.
buried,
That's a fucking trip, man.
just buried.
Yeah, it's like
buried
almost
the
like,
world.
you know, is that what killed the dinosaurs? You know, like what, like, is it really a great reset? Are there really alien overlords, you know, that seeded the planet? And if you want to get into ancient alien theory, right? And are we really a slave race created to mine gold for the ancients? Like, you can take it down psychedelic rabbit holes if you really get into the history of things. It's
Well, the
crazy.
thing is, America itself. If you were paying attention like 10 years ago, they were pushing the super volcano underneath us in Wyoming,
Yeah.
and fucking like,
Oh yeah, the caldera. Yep.
yeah, it's like there, and no one talks about it. And
And if it ever erupted, it would destroy the entire country, they
but
say.
the people are getting cocky too. Like, if you look at the wealthy and all these trucks going into these mountains out west, and like all these tunnels underground and shit, and you know, the giant military underground bases and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like,
Missile silos. Oh yeah.
yeah, I wonder how far they go down as it is.
Oh,
Like,
who the fuck knows? They're everywhere.
Well,
though.
so I've been told. Are you guys familiar with the book Raven Rock
Nope.
I've
by
heard of it.
what's his name? I forget the guy's name, the author, but it talks about the missile silos that they've converted into secret doomsday bunkers for the rich, wealthy elites that are like 20 floors of just extravagance that will withstand nuclear winter if it came to that. So it's almost like the amount of money that is being pumped into building these facilities. I mean, what do they know that we don't know?
Oh,
They know
man.
Yeah,
something. They're
yeah.
getting ready for something. You
Yeah,
know, scary.
Yeah, it is. It is. There's a lot. There's not a lot, but there's a few companies that build underground bunkers for like millionaires too. Yeah.
100%.
I mean,
There's a business. It's like there's like a whole market for it now.
yeah.
And you could. I've heard some people make the argument that it's 100%. It was a market that was 100% created through media propaganda, the fear campaign, the fear porn.
I could see that. I could see that.
And that's how I think they drive a lot of market behavior is through the media.
Yeah,
for sure.
definitely. Yeah, like the CIA's involvement, like again, when you brought up Project Mockingbird earlier, but like even Ben Affleck, man, he was in a magazine just a couple months ago. I can't for the life of me think of what magazine it was, but he was talking about the CIA's involvement in Hollywood. Fucking Ben Affleck. Like a guy like that can't say something like that unless he's fucking told to say it, or you're not ever gonna hear from him again. You know what I mean? But like,
I've heard a lot of people say that like there's a certain level of fame and fortune that you don't get to
right.
unless you play the game with the people that are writing the checks.
Dude, I love Kevin Hart comedy, but I gotta say, man, I find it hard to believe that a guy like him can get to his, place in the world without having,
Dude,
without
he shook
knowing.
Kelly Clarkson on national TV.
I gotta see that. Yeah,
when she
dude.
started talking about it. I mean, what else do you need to fucking see, in my opinion?
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
true.
How do
right.
you define evidence of a secret group of people offering you money to do shady shit, Kelly Clarkson?
Yeah.
Do tell. Like,
Dude.
when's your expose? Go write a book. I can't wait to read that shit.
Yeah, no shit, huh? Then all that stuff going on with like Britney Spears and her just fucking
100%.
erratic behaviors.
100%.
And,
She's in it. 100%.
she's being fucking fucked with. It seems like anyway. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, even take it back to look at how big the Kardashians got. You know, Kardashian's dad was one of OJ's lawyers.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and then
And then
what's
that
the other guy?
ties with
Who's the
Kobe
other guy?
Bryant too.
Yep, well, and he's also tied to that lawyer that apparently, you know, got massages on Epstein Island, but he didn't take his pants
Alan
down.
Dershowitz.
Dershowitz, there you
Yeah.
go.
Dirty
Alan
Dershowitz. I
Dershowitz,
didn't take my
yeah, yeah.
pants off.
This fucking guy,
Yeah,
dude.
fuck
Wow.
him, man.
But see, but the balls, even the balls on that guy, he's like, yeah, I was there. What are you gonna do?
Right.
I'm fucking Dershowitz. It's like, and he's still a talking head that we're supposed to listen to on the mainstream media.
Yep.
It's like, how the fuck is this guy still allowed in the building?
Totally. Totally, man. Totally. People are fucking such scumbags
Like,
and
really? Like, this is the guy we're supposed to listen to on policy and whatever the fuck else? Oh my god, it's gross. It's so gross.
it is gross, man. Wait, when I was talking about Trump earlier, I was thinking like, I think they're both, wings on the same bird or whatever. But there was one saving grace that Trump had for me, and it was during Epstein's first trial. Not this last time that got him fucking murdered or suicided, but his first arrest. I forget what year it was. It was fucking years ago. But Alan Dershowitz, got him off light. Like he did very minimal time. But I heard that it was Trump that fed him to the DA. I heard it was Trump because Trump kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago for hitting on like one of his younger,
They had a
waitresses.
falling out.
Yeah, something like that, right? And then he sold him down the river to the DA, and that was responsible for his first arrest. But
But then what's his name gave him that closed door plea deal?
yes,
Acosta.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yo.
so they're he's in it. Trump is in the club, people.
Yeah, yeah.
Get it through your
I
heads,
got.
America.
I,
Trump is in the big club.
I found a
For sure.
gentleman. We were talking about the underground base for a second, so
Yeah.
I dug in the memory belt block a little bit, and it was the
Nice.
the Clinton administration made changes to the nuclear protocol
Yeah.
in the U.S.
Yep.
And the most interesting thing that they changed, this guy named Bell, we quote him that U.S. policy on launch on warning is that we do not rely on it. In fact, in this PDD, we direct our military forces to continue to posture themselves in such a way as not to rely on launch on warning, to be able to absorb nuclear strike and still have enough force surviving to constitute credible deterrent. Meaning that in this nuclear doctrine, we do not fire unless we are fired upon first,
Yep.
and we are strategically assimilating some form, whereas we can absorb a nuclear attack on the surface, obviously, at one point.
And you know what they would do? They would pull a false flag. They would fucking attack their own country, being us, and hold up a different country's flag. It'd be like it was them if they
Oh, yeah.
really wanted to, you know?
Well, and Werner von Braun's protege talked about how they're gonna make Russia this big enemy, and
Who
they're
was
gonna roll
Werner
that
von
right
Braun?
into-
Who was his protege?
Her name is Bonnie. Oh shit! Let me look it up.
Sorry, I don't mean to like jump on you. I get excited.
No, yeah. I think her name is Bonnie Holmes. Look her up. She's the first
Okay.
clip in my latest episode that I just dropped. It's funny that we're talking about this right now because a lot of the stuff we're talking about today, it is in this recent episode I just dropped. So
I may
love-
have actually heard it.
I love the mix. The mix is awesome.
Oh, okay, cool. I was wondering because I was like, I feel like you guys watched it because we're on the same subject.
I did watch some of them, and it's funny,
Cool.
man. Like the stuff that I watched from, like I said, Brian told me about you months ago, and I listened to a few episodes back then. Dude, there's so much podcast out there. Like I'm constantly jumping around, But I
You
kept
have
you.
to.
I kept
Oh,
you
yeah.
in rotation because like I loved what I was hearing. And
Thanks.
dude,
Appreciate it.
I love your stance on everything because you are in the middle, and like you'll say some, you'll talk about the crazy conspiracies, but you're not married to them, and
No.
but you'll talk about the realities of them, and I like that.
Oh yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah, I mean-
You have to like.
I like to present it differently than a lot of the conspiratorial types out
Yeah, and you do.
there. Because this is my I've been on Alex Jones a lot lately. I think he's controlled opposition. I
I do
think the
too.
club got to him.
Yeah, 1000%.
And I don't think it was always that way. I don't think when he was making movies with Richard Linklater, like Waking Life and all that stuff,
Okay.
I don't think that he was that guy then. But he is from Austin, Texas, where a lot of these
Yeah.
there's a lot going on in Austin, Texas, people.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised.
The
And
bushes.
I think
Yeah.
that if you want to get into like the occult thing, a lot of there's this thing called a shame ritual that has to occur after you join, and I think the Sandy Hook thing was Alex Jones's shame ritual. I think
Yeah.
he's in the club
Okay.
now.
Okay. I'd buy that. I
and
would buy
and
that.
and now he's done a
Humiliation
big
ritual thing.
humiliation ritual. Yep, and now he's. I don't know if you guys know this. You probably haven't heard it on the
He's
mainstream media, but Mark Dice just dropped that he's the number one highest New York Times bestseller.
Yeah,
Brian.
yeah.
And no one's fucking talking about
Brian
it.
just
I
sent
swung
that to
it
me
over
today.
today.
No shit, man.
So to tie it back to what did you bring up right before I said Alex
Warner-
Jones? Because I
War-
feel like I
Warner
was
von
finishing
Braun.
the point.
Warner von Braun.
In his his
So we on underground base is a nuclear attack. Warner von Braun. It all sounds very.
Oh no,
terrible.
this is what I was going to say. Is that we were talking about the podcast and about how I'm trying to deliver this information differently. And the reason why I'm getting on Alex Jones so much is because my biggest criticism of Alex Jones is that the way he delivered the information on InfoWars on his radio show from this irately out of control nut job,
yeah.
just blowing his gasket, about to fucking go assault somebody. We're coming after you. We're not going to let it fucking stand.
It was so over the top.
Just
Yeah.
fuming out of his head over the top. And it reminds me of not Werner, of Vermin Supreme. Are you guys familiar with Vermin
Yeah.
Supreme?
Yeah, up in
Yo.
New Hampshire.
So if you're a libertarian or a liberty-minded person, you saw a guy like Vermin Supreme. I feel like Vermin Supreme is controlled opposition. I don't have any evidence to back that up. But he made anyone that thought about libertarianism look like an idiot because you were like, what's a libertarian? Look at Vermin Supreme. You're really going to listen to this shit? Look
He
at
had
this
a
guy.
boot on his head.
And it's like the way you're the way that you're presenting what otherwise would be the most interesting, important information you could possibly expose yourself to.
Yeah.
If it was delivered to you in a logical, rational, reasonable, in my case, passionate way from somebody who has been a military veteran, who has lived in the liberal arts department of sociology at San Diego State. I've lived in worlds that are left traditionally and right traditionally. And I have personal exposure and experience from both sides. So that's why I feel like I have a unique perspective. And then you attack the music thing on top of it. And that's how I created my show. And I appreciate that you and others are really liking it, man. It warms my heart. It makes me feel like I'm doing a good job, and I'm not going to stop because someone needs to be talking about this stuff, and they need to deliver it in a legitimate, reasonable, rational way. And I know I don't do that all the time, but I try to keep it. Like, okay, you might not believe what I'm saying, you might not agree with everything, but at least you're not going, this guy's full of shit. He has an agenda.
Yeah.
You know, you're going, wow, this guy clearly wants you to wrap your head around these ideas, and you can make the decision for yourself if you believe it or not. You know?
Yeah.
And what's weird being a musician is like I never thought 20 years ago if I looked into the future, I'd be like, I'm listening to fucking talk radio. Like really? And I'm loving it.
I've always kind of listened to talk radio.
I mean, because like
get
Art
it,
Bell back in the day, that kind of cool shit. That was always good. I always like the trope of the freedom, the radio freedom jockey. You know what I mean? I've always loved that.
For sure.
Shit. Yeah. And I see
that's where all of it started.
Yeah, you're finally being able to see people like live that out, and it sucks when they get like told to shut up and or they're controlled.
Yeah.
And it's just like sponsored by Pfizer.
Oh God, yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Like it's when you just do I mean, go look at a Wikipedia page on some of these people, and your eyes will open wider than you ever thought.
I
And
think it's been
and just
heavily
people just
compromised
don't
though.
do it.
I think
Well, maybe that's
Wikipedia's
true. Maybe that's true, but that's my point is that there's still information there that you're like you're gonna learn some nugget of information,
Mm.
and then go look some go look it up somewhere else. Don't get all of your information from Wikipedia, obviously, because anybody can write anything there. But if you get an idea in your head, go research it. I'm sure there's books. I'm sure there's articles,
Yeah.
newspapers. Like someone's talked about this stuff. It's not
get
coming
the
from just
books.
one source.
You got to get the books. They're taking away the
100%.
books.
It's taking away everything, man. You have to like use VPNs now, and like anything that's not Google or even DuckDuckGo now is compromised. It's like, what the fuck, man? I haven't tried the Brave network yet. Are you familiar with Brave?
Mm-mm.
It's another search engine. I guess it has no ties to Google or DuckDuckGo, but I don't know. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah, I listen to some
Yeah.
guys that push Brave. And
Yeah.
it's like I use a Gmail account for my email out in the public. It's like, yeah, go Google. But I can't like respect Google at the same time. It's like, haven't made the switch. Kind of feel like a piece of shit once in a while.
Well, I feel like it's only a matter of time. Like,
Mm.
if you guys see what's going on in China, I mean,
Are we
they
allowed to
have
see what's
everybody.
going on in China? Do we
They have
actually
billions
know?
of people tracked and monitored. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the biggest Orwellian surveillance state. And you hear Klaus Schwab talking about,
Ugh.
just sucking China's D. They're just like, oh my God, the advances that they have made in over the past 40 years is just amazing. And it's like, wait, if that's your model for the ideal, what's coming to the United States
That
sooner or
appeal
later?
that appeal comes from the fact of the population. It's a huge fucking lab with a bunch of rats, yo. On that level, the stuff they can be doing to people and, making breakthrough research like that. Fuck
Sure,
yeah, I believe
sure,
it.
Yeah.
I believe they're making advances in shitty shit. Probably.
Dude, I had a video. You guys might remember this, but I had a video on YouTube right before COVID really hit here, and it was this Chinese girl in Wuhan flipping out at her fucking camera, like just like they're lying to you, and she was bawling her eyes out. She's like, they took my brother, they took my mother, and it was like just like a couple weeks later, COVID was here, and then all this shit happened. That video disappeared. And that's China in a nutshell. You know what I mean?
Well, I heard about
Yeah.
a robot dog with speakers.
Yeah, there's
That was a fun one, and it's like they'll let that out on national TV, and I'm always looking at the mainstream media, being like, why would they show us that there's a raid on Mar-a-Lago? Why would they show us what's
Right.
going on in wars? Why would they publicly announce that we're making some stealth equipment, like stuff like that? We're showing off like this new technology on the news,
Yeah,
like
on the
other people
news.
can't watch it.
Yeah.
Like, I just can't take it seriously. I
You
don't know
can't.
what's up with that.
Yeah, and they do shit like that
Well,
all
it's
the
like
time.
it's like I always say on it's the show and the reality. It's like that whole wag the dog movie
Yeah, yeah.
analogy.
Yeah.
Is how
Yeah.
they can literally create fake wars, fake false flags, and make you believe anything is going. Like you talked about Kosovo.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember how Kosovo was talked about on the mainstream media during the Clinton administration?
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
there's
yeah.
just a little skirmish. There's
Yeah.
some unrest.
It
We
was
gotta
like
go
Yemen
fix it.
level.
Yep.
And it's like, no, that's fucking genocide or ethnic cleansing or whatever the hell they're doing. Exactly
Yeah.
same thing that's going on in Yemen. When's the last time you heard a story about Yemen on the mainstream media?
That's the same level of coverage Kosovo got.
100%.
Yeah.
man.
We
It
should
says
be,
a lot.
We should be looking at Yemen, but that's what they do, right? They point you over here while this is going on over there.
Look at the focus on Ukraine. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
What the F? You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't think that they're trying to distract you from what's going on in, Canada is
Right.
one of many places that jumps to mind.
Are you
Mm.
talking
But
about Chinese military bases?
oh yeah, and they're coming. I just read a thing that they're trying to put some type of Chinese biolab in somewhere in Florida or somewhere on the
Yeah.
East Coast too.
Oh shit!
And so it's like, as soon as they start infiltrating from a business perspective, get
You're
ready,
done. Yeah.
get
yeah.
ready.
You're fucked.
Not looking good.
No.
And
Well,
speaking of Charlie Robinson, is that or Chuck Robinson? What's his name? The
Charlie.
macroaggression.
I've never
Charlie.
heard him called Chuck though.
Sorry, I whatever. My bad.
Sorry, Charlie.
Charlie Robinson. Yeah, sorry, Charlie.
You're Chuck now.
Um, yeah, no. Uh, I forgot where I was going with that.
Yemen,
Oh, well.
Kosovo, Charlie.
Yeah.
The Chuck thing threw me off completely. Now I feel stupid.
Oh.
I love those, bro. I love Cap.
I had a
Cap.
good point.
Are you
too.
talking about the
I had a good
Chinese
point.
Chinese underground fucking? You just talked about it.
I just love the conversation over crank. It's a phenomenon I catch once in a while, and it's just like I take it all in. And
It
I'm
is
just
like a traffic.
Wow.
It's like a traffic jam, like of words, right? Because there's so many ideas.
Yeah, once you get your brain going, it's like Freudian slips in your mind.
Absolutely, absolutely.
This is what looking into this shit does to you.
Hold on, let's not lose this. Hold on, we were talking about like
China,
Yemen, Kosovo, China, fucking.
We're talking about mainstream media.
Mainstream
Look at
media.
Ukraine. Look at what's going on in Ukraine.
Yep. Yep. What's going on in Ukraine, which is a complete and utter bullshit, and they're one of the most.
Oh,
corrupt
it was the
places.
money laundering.
Yeah, there we go. All right.
That's where I was going with that. Was all these shell corporations that apparently have been set up in Ukraine,
Yeah.
and all this money that we're sending over there to support the conflict. I think the hidden agenda there is we're gonna bankrupt the United States because we're getting ready to destroy the United States. Is what it looks
Sure.
like to me.
Think about it, dude.
Yeah.
Like all the
They're
lumber.
gonna bleed the
for
coffers and they're gonna run. That's what's gonna happen.
all the lumber for houses, like, it is like shrunk down a third since it was used to be built like fucking 50, 60 years ago. Just, I think it's just so you could fucking mow that shit down with a bomb, baby. It's all built to standard. Everything has to be built to fucking standard. And it's like the only thing that could take this down is a bomb.
They're 1,000% trying to ruin our economy right now. I mean, and you see that all the time. Like every 10 or so years, you see it happen with a different false flag. 9/11 was a perfect example. Like that, they brought down the world economy.
Well,
they blew with the PNAC.
They blew up
agreement.
all the records for all the fucking bullshit.
Oh, there was multiple. There
Trillions.
was multiple things.
Yeah, they
did,
destroyed
yeah.
the paper trail.
Yeah, they did.
And it was big.
But they did multiple things like at that during those attacks. That had many implications. Yeah, they lost. I don't know. It was trillions of dollars at the Pentagon. They came on TV the day before talking about how they just lost $1 trillion, and then that wing of the Pentagon gets hit by a fucking plane the next day.
Coincidence?
Yeah. Unbelievable.
But now
Yeah, Lucky Larry's insurance policy. I mean, you
Yeah,
don't think that
dude.
wasn't pre-planned? I mean, come on.
Yeah, so Larry Silverstein, like, he took out that $1 billion insurance policy. How long before? It was only like weeks or a month, right?
It wasn't long. I think it was like a couple months. Yeah. So
Interesting.
and you know what? You know what I also always think about? Have you guys seen the Zeitgeist videos?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah.
The last part where you have Aaron Russo talking about his relationship with the Rothschild guy, and he said that he told him that there's going to be an event there in New York, and out of that event you're going to see the war on terror. We're going to go fight this war against people that are hiding in caves that we'll never find, and we'll just be able to just continue to rake in money from the military-industrial complex. And like, you know, it's only a matter of time before you start hearing that story, and then this story, and then that story, and you look at the timeline and you realize people have been talking about it for years.
Yeah.
And then, you know, one day you will have the realization that it's all controlled.
Yeah.
Everything.
You see them fuck up all the time too. Because
All the
they
time.
like people always say that they're like, how could this? There could never be this many people involved, and it's like, well, yeah, there could be, and if you're watching, you see them fuck up, like you see it. Even like CNN, like they were interviewing, they got the fucking tape from Osama bin Laden when they were going after Osama bin Laden in a cave. How the fuck can they find him in a cave, but yet our army or our fucking we can't find him? You know, he's in interviews all over the news. And then
Maybe they filmed all that stuff when we were funding them.
yeah.
When he was a CIA operative, remember that?
During
Remember when he
Kosovo.
flew his family? Remember when he flew his family out of the country the day after 9/11?
Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah, and he was helping us out during the Kosovo conflict, actually. It's fucking nuts. And then that story came
Very,
out.
very well orchestrated little world that they created.
Yeah.
And, whatever year that was, where they made the Illuminati. If that's in fact what's going on, that's in fact who's behind it. Who knows? Who
See,
knows
I
who's
love how
behind
you say that. I do. I love how you say that, man. Like, if because you got to leave that open.
it? Yeah, because I don't really know. And
Right.
I've found in my life that if you're too sure of something,
You'll be disappointed.
you know, you got to leave some level of discernment. Like,
Sure.
you know, until you have evidence, it's theory. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. We have a lot of
but it's fun
theories.
to talk about.
It is fun to talk about. I mean, and you can see the pieces like we've been talking about. You see the pieces; they all fucking fit. It's sad. It's really sad, but I think that shows like yours and what we're trying to do here, and I think it's important because too many people have the attitude of we can't make a difference. They have tanks. They have an army. I'm of the mindset like, yeah, you know what though? There are plenty of people in the army that are already a part of a militia that they're not talking about. We have access to tanks. There's plenty of people that have access to fucking plenty of weapons. But I would hate to see it come to that. But I think my point is that we do have the power as citizens. We do write these people's checks. Like ultimately, we are fucking paying them. And if all these like people like yourself and all us and people that think like-minded, like we could all really, if we're on the same fucking page, make a difference.
Except on the macro, if you think about it, you can compare it to the prisoner complex, where the inmates outnumber the guards.
But they never do shit.
No one wants to go first.
Well,
No one wants to stop what they're doing because they're chasing their bills, or they're chasing something for themselves.
well, we're in that invisible prison like you were talking about earlier. They keep us comfortable. Too many people are just complacent, and that's the problem. And then you have people when when we're having important conversations, and I do believe this is an important conversation, there's too many other people that are like, oh, you're just, smoking from a fucking hopium or whatever. It's like, no, people need to get on the same page and figure this shit out because it can be figured out. These are evil forces, and where there's evil forces, there are good forces that oppose them.
They kill people who try to speak against them.
Yeah, and so like plenty of evil people get killed too.
Yeah. Well, the biggest murder counts in the world have lived full lives. Mao, like not Hitler, but I mean like,
Yeah.
Mao killed a lot.
Yeah, he did.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Everything you guys are saying right now reminds me of a couple of memes I actually recently posted or saw. One of them was,
Making
if the
fun.
situation was hopeless, the propaganda would not be necessary.
Right, dude. That's a great meme.
And
Fuck yeah.
and then I just posted one the other day that said, if you realized the amount of money that was put into brainwashing you, you would realize how special you are.
Dude, that's a great point. It's
And
true.
that's how you deliver this information to people, is
I love
you
it.
take you attack it with love and not fear, and that's how it's been presented in the past, is through fear. And that we need, that pendulum has to swing back, and someone's got to be giving you this information from the opposite side, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's beautiful said, man. That's beautiful. It's true. If people would just take the time to, dude, if anybody would just take the time to notice how hard they're fighting us on many different levels. They're not fighting us because there is no fight to be had, right? Like clearly there's a threat.
There's something's happening.
Yeah.
I mean, and I would rather be prepared, and I would rather know. Even if I don't know a lot, I would like to know a little about what might be coming over the horizon, and maybe that's from the military. Prior proper planning prevents piss poor performance. I want to be prepared. You know what I mean?
Absolutely,
and I'm trying to
dude.
give other people the tools to
Yeah.
be prepared themselves. So.
Yeah. Well, at the very least, if you have no one else that will listen, you can help yourself. You know what I
That's
mean?
what I mean by the therapeutic side of podcasting. Yeah. It's a creative outlet. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. As a songwriter too, I relate to that. That's all you do it for. You have all this stuff in your head. You have to get it out.
I think it's
You have to.
goddamn hilarious, Kev, that the Woods, that's Kev's group, like probably about 7 years ago, came out with a song called it Truth Brigade after a little while, maybe after a year.
Yeah, that was
6
about
years
the
ago.
war in Syria.
And now Obama used to be like this dude, this entity under Obama is now like part of this group called the Undivided Truth Brigade or something like that. And it's like, it's some pretty lefty stuff, and they're just it's all to combat misinformation. It was the bottom line of it. They created some new group and they named it after Kevin's song, and I think you should sue them.
You know what's ironic about that, dude?
Wow.
The original name of that song was the Anti-Truth Brigade. But
Yeah.
then I named it more of like a sarcastic title by calling it the Truth Brigade because it's misleading and it's not
Are
about
you
truth at all.
are you gonna start playing that on your show? Is that kind of what the future? You said you're gonna start having bands play live. And stuff like
Yeah,
that?
yeah. We
Because
on
I was gonna say send me your stuff. I'll play it on my show
Oh,
too.
right on. That would be awesome. I'll send you some
Oh, of
stuff.
course.
I don't plug my own shit that often, and I'm not really good at self-promoting.
Well, I'm good at promoting anything. I'll sell ice to Eskimos. So send send me your songs.
All right.
I mean, you've heard my music section on the show. Like
Hell yeah.
I
I've
get
loved
dramatic about
anything
it.
I've heard you.
I like
fucking put out.
introducing you it's time in the UFC light heavyweight division. Like I like to blow it up. Like let's get entertaining about it. I'm introducing this awesome new band.
Yeah, you do a killer job with that, man. I love your choices. I never heard of Muse before, and I listened to them today, and it was fucking great.
Yeah.
There was another band.
I'm afraid of everything in the world.
Yeah.
I don't wanna die. I love that
Yeah,
song.
dude, that was really
Great.
good. Then there was another band that you played. It kind of reminded me of like a mix between like Strung Out and Rise Against. I can't fucking think of the name.
Personal Crisis. That's my new favorite band.
Oh,
They're
really?
so good.
Okay.
They're
alright.
so sick. They're probably my new favorite band.
Mm.
They remind me of, yeah, like you said, Strung Out or like Poor Habit. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Poor Habit.
No.
Very hacky, thrashy guitar, punk rock, fast drums. I love that shit.
Oh, awesome. Awesome.
Rock bands. Oh yeah.
That's great.
Man,
Yeah, dude.
think about that. Just draws me back to friggin' Bad Religion lyrics.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
the
yeah.
OGs.
Yeah.
Like he tried to
Best ever.
wake so many people up, and just like he just wanted people to hear that. Like he was all about kind of like that truth. He was kind of based on a couple issues, but like
Yeah, whatever. You're not going to agree with everything.
And then
you know.
Propaganda was out. Propaganda was fucking always great like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Canadian
I
too.
love Propaganda too. Oh yeah. I mean, and that's where and that's kind of where I got the inspiration for the song. Like No Effects used to, the whole, is just politics shouldn't have anything to do with punk rock. And I'm like,
That's bullshit. Yeah, that's bullshit.
you are fucking stupid if you think that.
And
That's
then they
how it
wrote The
goes. Like,
Decline.
Yeah.
What was that?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
dude,
yeah.
so much of their shit's political. I love No Effects. I don't really agree with Fat Mike on everything, but again, I don't really agree with anybody on everything.
Yeah.
That dude can.
I mean,
write
I
fucking
call everybody idiot savants, man. Like some of us,
Yeah, yeah.
all of us are very brilliant in one area, and we're just the dumbest idiot in another. Like I'm guilty of it too.
I'm retarded.
You know what I mean? Like I'm so like I do stuff sometimes that makes me just want to punch myself in the face.
Dude,
You know what I
likewise,
mean?
likewise.
Like, what are you doing, dude? Like, come on. But then I'll just, go knock out a fucking doctoral dissertation for a show after that, So it's just funny. Everybody's like that, man. Everybody's got their thing. And that's why I have such a big problem with education. Like, we're not teaching people anything. Like, we're creating robots. Like, that's not education,
No. Yeah, and they're numbing them down, man. I remember being in like 5th grade, and over the intercom every lunchtime, they would call down more than a dozen kids, and we'd all be, myself included, would be standing outside of the nurse's office to take our Adderall, our Effects, or our Ritalin, or whatever the fuck ever. And it was just so, yeah, it is gross. It is gross. I ended up turning around and selling all of it. By the time I got into high school, I was like, I don't even like
Smart.
this shit. Yeah.
We grew up in a culture that fucking taught us how
Flip
to
it,
fucking
baby. Flip it.
Fuck, dude.
deal drugs, do drugs.
Yeah, well, there was a time
Yeah.
where I considered myself straight edge, which the saying is, if you're not now, you never was. But I claimed to be for a while when I was younger, and I guess I really wasn't because I was selling my fucking Adderall and Ritalin, but I wasn't doing it.
Doing it.
Yeah, just don't get high on your own supply if you're trying to make some money.
Yeah, exactly, man. I had plenty of older friends that went to college that would like hit me up for my script. I was like, all right, cool.
Doesn't that whole story though, the Sackler family with like the opioids and all that too, like doesn't it just feel like on purpose?
Yeah, it
Like
is.
if we can distract you and screw up your mind in any possible way, they're gonna do it. They're gonna come at you through TV. They're gonna come after you through education or the lack thereof. They're gonna come after you through the medical industry. Like every industry
Yeah. Yeah.
is trying to get into you in some way, and that's why we all need to be we need to be stronger, tougher people just in general, more disciplined,
Yeah.
because it's only going to get worse for people if you don't start
For
facing
sure.
it. You know.
For sure, man. Dude, you brought up like acid being
Okay,
like. Oh, go ahead.
when I come back, we'll split the show.
Okay. Yeah, what you brought up earlier, like the acid being, put into pop culture and brought into like the music realm, and they've done it with crack and heroin on like to the whole nation. I mean, we dealt with the heroin epidemic during Vietnam and in Harlem, and then in the 80s there was the Iran-Contra scandal and all the crack with Freeway Ricky Ross in LA and the crack explosion in the
Gary Webb
US.
blowing the whistle. Yep.
Gary Webb taking fucking what? 2 bullets to the back of the head and ruled a suicide. Dude.
Right.
Oh my God. It's insane. And now, but we're seeing it again. I remember back in like 04 or like, yeah, pretty much after 9/11, Oxycontin and heroin started blowing the fuck up. And
Huge.
it's been like that since, man. We went into Afghanistan. I mean, our troops are guarding fucking opium fields, and suddenly all this heroin is flooding our streets. Like, fuck.
What do you think's really going on? 100%.
Yeah, dude.
I got a Marine buddy that served in Afghanistan for 6 years, and when he came back, he looked me in my eye. He said, "Andrew, I was in Afghanistan for 6 years, and I still can't figure out what the fuck we were doing there." And it just drove me crazy. It still drives me crazy because I'm just like, what are we doing? Like, what is our government doing with other colluding? Like, it really does. I hate to go all conspiracy nut job tinfoil hat, but
yeah,
as soon as I mean, at this point, we're stacking story after story after story, all pointing to the possibility of scary, terrifying situation being actually real and not fiction.
Yeah.
And if that's really the truth, then, I challenge people to ask themselves, like, do you have faith in any of it? The school, the church, the government. Like, the only thing you can have faith in anymore is yourself and like-minded individuals that you trust.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the future. Like, it's going to be tribalism in the streets if this experiment in America goes south. And I don't know, communist subversion plan, the whole Cold War thing with Russia, China's rise, both of them being communist sympathizers in, China for sure now, and Russia in the past. And I'm sure there's still, elements of it in the culture and in the belief system. They want to destroy the West. They've tried to destroy the West for years. I think they're getting close.
Yeah.
And that's what scares me the most about what's coming, is because, yes, there are the globalist New World Order types, but within all of these different countries around the world, they have their own elite, they have their own aristocrats that have their own agendas.
Yep.
So there's going to be infighting even within that club.
Yeah.
And that's I would make the argument that that's what the history of world events is aristocrats fighting other aristocrats over time.
That's a good argument. There's so many fucking ways this could all go south.
Yeah, we should. So what we'll do is we'll take a little break, and then we'll be right back after a little bit of file moving, and we'll be back with another part.
It's been a pleasure.
I need a beer. Sounds good.
Hell yeah, guys.
All right, so we pause right now. You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Are we recording?